It's movie review time! Hey, what's up everyone? Renee LOWKEY Geek here. So I finally had a chance to check out Shin Kamen Rider. It's a new reboot, retelling, origin story of one of Japan's most iconic superheroes, better known as Masked Rider for us non-Japanese speaking folk. And I was always curious about this because of the director, whom being Hideaki Anno, who's better known for his work bringing Neon Genesis Evangelion to a lot of our lives, especially if you're a huge anime fan. So, is this a movie worth checking out? If you're a fan of the character and these type of series and shows, is this something that's going to be tailor-made for you? Well, I'm here to share my thoughts and talk about it right now. So I'll admit, I am not a huge fan of these tokusatsu type of shows. If you don't know that term, that means basically live action superhero type of stories with like using a lot of practical effects, people in costumes and all that. So kind of like your Godzillas, your Ultramans, if you're familiar with that. Power Rangers, you know, like the big Power Rangers wave that we went through in the 90s. That was not something that I got into because when Power Rangers first came out, it was already past the time when I was interested in those type of programs. I kind of moved on to more mature stuff. I think I was still watching the animated Batman, which was kind of around that same time. So I never really got into that. And growing up, I was never really truly exposed to a lot of the Ultramans and the Kamen Riders. Godzilla, of course, that was something that I was really huge into, but that's more of like the kaiju realm, right? With big monsters battling out, you know, King Kong, all that stuff like that. Later on in life, of course, I became familiar with, you know, the Japanese Spider-Man, which I always found very fascinating, but I have yet to really watch these shows. And of course, learning more about this stuff, especially being someone who is really into the Japanese culture and learning more about it, I started to learn about Ultraman, and I started to learn that even like Power Rangers, that was something that was borrowed from a pre-existing program in Japan, Super Sentai, which is fascinating to me. And you know, you fall in love with like the theme songs and everything like that, but I have yet to really sit down and watch full episodes of a lot of these programs, especially Kamen Rider. So Kamen Rider, it was something that I was really super, you know, curious about. Then when I heard Hideaki Anno is directing a movie based on it, the more I became curious and I felt I really had to check this out for myself. Now it's really interesting because Hideaki Anno is, you could tell he's reliving a lot of his childhood memories because he's doing a lot of projects that speak to his childhood and to many childhoods as well. He directed Shin Godzilla, which was something that came out several years ago that a lot of people really enjoyed. He helped write the screenplay for Shin Ultraman, which I heard was fantastic, and it's again something I need to check out for myself. And now he's tackling Kamen Rider. And one thing I'll say, when I saw this film, you could tell that he really put a lot of passion and his heart and love that he has for this series in this movie. Tries to keep as much of the original stuff that he grew up with in the show, at least from what I was told, but then he definitely puts his own spin on a lot of things, and I call it the Anno spin. And when you know what that would mean, then you definitely know what you're getting yourself into here. Now, to help those who are not familiar with this story understand what this movie is about, Shin Kamen Rider is produced to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Kamen Rider. Hongo Takeshi awakens to discover he has been transformed into a grasshopper hybrid cyborg. Becoming the Masked Rider, he must fight the mysterious evil organization Shocker to protect all of mankind. Shin Kamen Rider is Anno Hideaki's ode to the legendary tokusatsu franchise, Japan's biggest hero and his dearest childhood icon. But get ready because it gets dark. This is not your daddy's or mommy's Kamen Rider. It is so modernized and extremely violent, and this hits you in the face within like the first 10 minutes of the movie. You got blood splattering all over the place. I feel like I'm watching a movie from Takeshi Miike. It's just nuts with the blood, the violence, and all that stuff, but all throughout you still feel like you're watching a very typical Japanese superhero type of movie. And even though a lot of that stuff was, you know, batshit crazy, I think when it gets to the story aspects, I kind of got lost. Because again, this is not something I am familiar with. I didn't grow up with this stuff. We never got Kamen Rider here in the States. Well, Saban tried to bring Kamen Rider, aka Masked Rider, to the States because of their success with Power Rangers. And let's just say, you know, I really hate it when they try to Americanize things too much. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you who saw that show felt the same way.
Ready at a moment's notice to call on his powers to become Masked Rider.
My God, look at those eyes. I just see nothing but death, soulless, emptiness. Ugh. But yeah, like in a typical Japanese movie or story, there's a lot of exposition and explanations and all that, and I felt like that really dragged for me throughout the film. The parts I really enjoyed most was when Kamen Rider was being Kamen Rider, you know, like when he was on his motorcycle riding around, when he was fighting and battling out with all of these baddies and everything. And then when it came to the story stuff, I'm just like, okay, how much longer of this are we going to see? When are we going to get to the action? Yeah, story-wise, I felt a lot of moments dragged for me, a lot of exposition and all that. But I also find that very typical in a lot of Japanese-style movies, in a lot of kind of Japanese shows and series. Pacing is always usually a problem. And that was one of the criticisms I had with the live-action Cowboy Bebop, on top of several other things. But being a huge fan of the anime and being very familiar with the type of storytelling, it doesn't really always translate well in live action. And I feel like because of that, it loses a lot of people, especially American audiences who are not familiar with that style of storytelling. So if you're kind of find yourself within that same boat, then this could be something that could be problematic for you as well. Again, that's just me. I had a chance to see it at a special screening filled with a bunch of fans. You could tell that these were fans of the series, of the character, of the show. And it was mixed. It was like Americans and a full-on group of Japanese people, because it was held at Japan Society when they were doing their North American premiere. And everyone kind of reacted the same way when it came to the action scenes, especially like how bloody and gruesome it was. But when the movie was making certain call-outs to certain characters or certain situations, you got an audible response from the audience. So I feel like real fans and super fans of this show, of this series, will really get a lot out of this film. If you're someone like me who's not familiar at all with anything, then you may find a lot of this stuff to be boring or really wacky. This is definitely going to be very questionable when it comes to more of the American palate and how much people can stomach and take this type of storytelling and these type of characters. But if you're into Godzilla, if you are a huge Power Rangers fan, then I think this is something that you will be able to get into as well. There were some nice surprises in the film, and I think for me, it was really just, I got the most enjoyment of the film seeing the reactions from the audience, the super fans, seeing how they reacted to certain characters showing up, certain executions and everything. Personally, I liked how Hideaki Anno directed the movie. He is one of the few that made a lot of anime-inspired action and fight scenes look actually amazing on screen. And when I talk about that, and again, I'm not trying to spoil anything here, but when you watch Power Rangers and shows like Kamen Rider, Ultraman, there's a lot of like flipping and jumping in the air and all that. He made this look very similar to that, but with his own spin, kind of making it look like this is how it's going to look like in real life. With all these superpowers and everything like that, these battles will play out this way. And I thought he was really cool in being able to show a lot of that. If you're a fan of anime like Dragon Ball, you know how they do a lot of battles in the sky, you know, flying around, super speed and all that. He actually made that kind of believable in live action form. So, hey, I'm going to say this right now. If we ever want someone to attempt another Dragon Ball live action movie, why not let this guy try to do it? Let's see what he can do with that. But if he's going to do something like that, I mean, you get ready for some really far out, crazy violence and maybe some interpretations of some certain characters. I mean, could you imagine seeing Piccolo in live action form? I think that's going to be some wild shit. During the climax of the movie and everything, you could tell people were really getting into it. And then when the end credits rolled, They even made a nice callback to the original Kamen Rider theme song, which is actually something that I was very familiar with because even though I've never watched these programs or these shows, I've heard the theme music. You know, especially like when you're at these conventions, you hear sometimes the themes playing in certain booths and all that. And I was a huge fan of the Kamen Rider theme song even before watching anything Kamen Rider related. Now that I'm thinking about it and thinking about the theme song and all that, I don't know, it got me kind of in the mood. You know what I'm in the mood for right now? Karaoke time! Henshin! Semaru Shoka! 地獄の軍団我らを狙う黒い影世界の平和を守るため Go, go, let's go 輝くマシンライダージャンプライダーキック仮面ライダー、仮面ライダー、ライダー、ライダー。Wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? I don't even know how to ride a bike. I don't even know, I can't even see out of this thing. But yeah, you could tell like a lot of people who are fans really enjoyed this film. When the end credits were playing out and they were, you know, playing the old theme songs, I saw people stand up and dance in the aisles like that. That's just how people were really into it. Again, for me, I kind of envy that. I wish I had this connection, this emotional bond to a popular series like this. I know that feeling. You know, when I watch certain Marvel films or Star Wars or Indiana Jones, you know, these are the things that I grew up with and I get that emotional bond and connection. So of course I get super excited and super into it. So to be honest, I may not have fully enjoyed this film, but because of seeing that reaction, it kind of made me curious. So I may actually sit down and start catching up and watching all of these old shows and programs. And I'm curious how I'm going to take to that, you know, especially things like the Japanese Spider-Man. Like that's some stuff that I've always been dying to watch fully. So who knows, maybe I'll share my thoughts and reactions to all that when I do it for the very first time here on the channel. Again, if you are a huge fan of Power Rangers, Ultraman, Godzilla, obviously Kamen Rider, then I think you will walk away with this enjoying the movie. And the fever is there. It's you know, the need is a lot because Fathom Events only scheduled to have one showing of this film here in North America for one night only. Because of the response, they added a second night. So it looks like there is quite a need for this and anticipation. So that's really, really awesome to see. And hopefully we can get more stuff like this. And I hope Hideaki can see this type of response along with Toei. So maybe they can bring new stuff over, maybe consider new reimaginings, retellings, reboots of other famous characters and all that, and let the audience really enjoy watching it here in North America, because I've been dying to see Shin Ultraman, but there's nowhere I can stream it right now from what I can see. So I feel like that's a little disappointing. I missed out my window on catching it for a Fathom viewing back in January of this year, but that's it. It was like a one-time only thing. So listen up, Toei, we want it. Let us see it. At the end of the day, I enjoyed it because of the audience I was in. I mean, for myself, I gave the movie 2 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I didn't like it that much, but my pure enjoyment really came from experiencing it with a bunch of the super fans that I was in the room with. And it got me envious enough and curious enough that I am gonna go back and allow myself to watch the original content and see how is it that I react to it now, seeing it at this age and this stage in life. But at the end of the day, it doesn't always matter what I think. What matters most is what all of you think. Is Kamen Rider a famous character of yours? Are you a huge fan of these tokusatsu type shows, movies? Who is your favorite tokusatsu character? Let me know in the comments. If you have seen this movie, let me know what you thought about Shin Kamen Rider. Or if you haven't seen it, are you now curious about it, or are you now wary about it because of my experience? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. But that's about it for me for now. Thank you once again, as always, for watching. If you're brand new to this channel and you haven't done so yet, don't forget, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell to get notified every time a new video is posted on the channel. Check out the LOWKEY Geek podcast channel on your podcast platform of choice, where you can find audio versions of the stuff we do here, but most importantly, the Movie Time Movie Review podcast that I do with myself and my buddy Blake, and the Talking Talk Pop Culture News of the Moment podcast, there for your downloading and listening pleasure. Last but not least, if you're in a position to further help support this channel and help this channel grow, check out the affiliates that we have listed in the description of this video. Father's Day is coming out, graduations are happening. Maybe you can find an awesome gift for your loved ones or for yourself. And by participating, you'll be helping support this channel at no additional cost to you. And for all of that, I am truly thankful. But that's it for me for now. Until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Catch you all in the next one. All right, peace out, y'all.